Which TV is your education station? The state's education leaders are turning attention again to the dismal results of the nation's report card. The State Board of Education met today.
They also discussed updating the state's current academic standards. News 8's education reporter Jay Jackson has more on this story.
Based on the scores from the national report card, Indiana is right at or above proficiency when it comes to reading and math for 4th and 8th graders. But comparing those numbers to our own within a state within the last few years, the board is now wanting to streamline the academic standards.
And you can see that gap narrowing specifically between 17 and 19. You see a significant narrowing where the nation went up and Indiana went down. So many times people talk about, well, it's all caused by COVID. It's all caused by the pandemic. And that's just not a completely accurate narrative.
According to the National Assessment of Educational Progress, Indiana 4th and 8th graders scored at or above proficiency in both reading and math. But looking closer at how Indiana as a state does compared to itself, there's been a decline in the last 2 decades. 4th grade math saw some of the largest drops across the nation, and 4th grade reading has been declining in the states since 2015.
We can look at this data and think through different policy initiatives that may have been undertaken at different points in time. And most recently, it also allows for us to reflect on the academic impact that we've also observed with iLearn and iRead 3 results.
They want to update the state's academic standards. House Enrolled Act 1251 was enacted last session, which called upon the Department of Education to identify key skills and traits necessary for students to be successful after high school. Dr. Flores said while the standards have identified these needs, the standards were never intended to be an exhaustive list like this.
We start with all the standards we have at that full circle. The streamlining occurs where we'll have 75% of our standards. Then of this 3/4, 75% circle becomes this whole. So this is now the 75%. Of that 75%, a third of those will be deemed essential, critical, foundational standards.
The goal is to launch for implementation of the new standards in 2023 and 2024. In Indianapolis, Jay Jackson for WishTV, wishtv.com, and you can follow us on Facebook.